Alright, so here we are. This is the bearing here that decided didn't want to be part of life. I can say the crank's perfect. So I just put new ACL bearings in, standard series. Long story short, well, my understanding is race series bearings are a lot harder than your normal conventional bearing, which is great for things of huge application, but things that are going to get hot and that kind of thing, they spin a heap easier. It's just something to note. When the car's not going to be anywhere near the power required that's going to make a bearing actually fail, they're not really a positive. Also putting it back together, you can see here, ARP studs. They were horrendously expensive, but rod bolts, believe it or not, you can't buy new ones. I couldn't find any aftermarket, and Holden only had 7 left and they're no longer in production. So that was the end of that one pretty much. Yeah, they're $200 a set, which is, you know, the price of 2 Ecotechs. But at the same time, if they hold the engine together and doesn't break rod bolts and throw rods, it's money well spent. Alright, intake, nearly done, nearly ready to fit, done, pretty much ready to fit up. You can see under here, we filled this up with JB Weld, come up nice. Drilled and tapped this out to a 1/2 inch PSP with a 5/8 fitting. You can see the manifold's a whole lot cleaner than last time. What I've done is given it a bit of a wash. The trick I've learnt over the years is to use hot degreaser. So I've got a spare bath thing. I don't know, I suppose it's some kind of cooker thing on my barbecue. Filled up half with degreaser concentrate, cheap as from Superchar, and half with water, heat it up till it's nearly boiling, chuck it in, and it just melts the grease away. Of course, there's always bits you can't get off because it's not a proper hot wash, but it's pretty damn good. So it's pretty much ready to go in. Obviously, with breather, I'm using some leftover -10 line, which is a 5/8 internal, out to the catch can as an extra breather. I'm going to decided to keep this one, so I'm going to put the fitting back in that one. The more breathers, the better. That's about all for that one. Alright, now, I thought I'd start this one, show you a bit of height comparison between the two. Yeah, it's going to be well out of the bonnet. Alright, so downstairs in the other workshop, we're actually working on the galant. Now, big problem was the firewall. Basically, that was an air intake that sat up 50 mil or so higher than that. Had to cut that off, and the front section here, I didn't want to, but had to clear the back of the charger. I'm not quite sure about air filter. We'll get there. Holy shit balls. Alright. Obviously the motor is back in, all that kind of stuff. And we're getting there. Alright. Just want to show you guys this little trick. Oh, not really a trick, it's just a method. It's not stupid YouTube comments. Alright, so this is a Holden 304 throttle body. Well, the 5 litre V8, how you want to look at it. Mate gave it to me. Thank you, Jamie. So as you can see, I've started to remove this stuff. It's just vac stuff, it's not used. Same with round here. This one hasn't taken as well. Got to fix that one up again. I like clean look, so what I'll do, that's JB Weld. So that'll all be sanded, smooth, and primer, paint the throttle bodies. You can't see it at all. Can't really nice them between throttle bodies. Gets rid of just, you know, no one likes the vacuum blockers and crap when you're actually looking under the bonnet of a car that's been played with. I suppose it's really the difference between looking and go, oh, that's awesome, or looking and go, oh, that could use a bit more work. Just an opinion thing, I guess. Doesn't worry me how you want to do your own, but it's how I do mine. So what I've done, got some thick masking tape and laid it over the surface. Now, if you work in the workshop, your hands are dirty. Just literally with your thumb, run around it. Then stick it on your piece of plate, as done here, and start marking it out. So these are just centre punch marks, called witness marks. So we can rip the tape off. Like, you can tell I didn't pre-rehearse that one. And it gives us the marks. So what we'll do is we'll drill this out through your holes, each of your drill holes. I'll mark those properly in a moment. Cut it out roughly, and then I will use this side out, like that way out, on the throttle body. Reason being is Holden decided, actually I'll use that side in, sorry. It's not a common size. I thought it was 3 inch, but it's 2 3/4, and I don't have any 2 3/4 inch tube. So what I'll do is I'll weld the tube to it, and then drill, and file it out, make it match the tube, and maybe taper it from the throttle body if I can figure out, I'll get it right. To be honest, I'll probably just drill it out square. It's not, well, I'll drill it out as round as the pipe. It's not really going to matter. Onto the pipe. This has been nice and fun. Trying to get 3-inch 45-degree mandrel into an oval. It's not an oval. It's getting there. I've got to pull the edges out and stuff like that. It takes a massive amount of work because it's going to be a restriction no matter how I look at it. But now knowing that the throttle body's not quite 3-inch, I'm not as worried. But obviously I'll flare it out a bit more on the edges. It's very difficult with stainless. We'll get there. Alright, so started on my intake hose. I actually done the intake hose bar weld out. Nice and tight. That part, the actual firewall of the car, it's an interesting shape. It comes up just here along, then back up to the windscreen. That's this cool spot. So that'll be, bonnet should be about here. So get the whole top surface of the air filter out of the bonnet. Should look good, and obviously sound. Sound's important. You don't supercharge for power, you supercharge for sound. That's a lie, but it sounded good. Getting there through the clearances, starting to take shape. Hopefully we can start it in the next couple of days. It's the week after race day. Now, just to finish off this video, this is the 4th time I've shot this bit of the video, so here we go. Alright, so basically, last week on the Friday night, me and my mate Joe, big hat tip to Joe, he does so much work for me on this car. He's a slave. He actually gave me this car. So you know your mate's a good mate when he gives you the car to start with. So we slaved away, pardon me, got the car done, got it together, and it would not go. Not that it wouldn't go. The fuel pressure regulator, the China one, you know, the one that I said would last, you know, like 1 or 2 rounds, or 5 rounds, or 50 rounds, 0. Absolute 0. We tried to set the base fuel pressure any past 20 pound, and it would just block the regulator off, stall the pump, blow the fuse. We stuffed around with that at like 1 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning. We ended up cracking the sads and going inside, watching YouTube and going to bed. Called up a few mates early the next morning. Got my mate James McGinnis out of bed. He had Jimmy Mac for a SARD or a China SARD copy. Not sure. It worked. Slapped that in, hit the key, and it ran straight away. It ran mint. However, it rattled hard. Probably the fact that it had been apart, upside down, and the last time it ran, it did a bajillion RPM, so it probably bled down all the lifters. We're a bit worried about that, but way more worried it breathed heavily, like really heavily, out of the catch can. And Combi 6s don't really breathe very much. They tend to not at all. So, as you remember, I had the motor apart, but I didn't have the heads off or the pistons out. I'm going to say it had a broken ring or something on those lines. Anyway, we made the decision. This motor was not long for this earth, and we just put it straight in the trailer and went straight to the drags. Got up there, got off the trailer, did a few passes. I'll put a couple of videos in here somewhere. Of that, and wasn't too bad. I was really shooting for a 13-second quarter mile. My best was a 14.1 at 30 pounds in the tyres on 215 street tyres that, when I looked at them now, actually have cracks in them. They're that old. So, you know, I'll take that. That's pretty good. It probably would be a 13 5-second car in all honesty, if I could drive as well. Not claiming I can. So I ended up dropping tyre pressures to try and get my 13-second pass before it was the burnout comp, and launched really, really hard. Actually, I'll put the video in here. Put the gearbox up! And as you can tell, got second gear, and that was the end of it. It locked into second, and GG. So I'm not sure what's up with the gearbox. I'd like to think it was just a shifter rail, but I'm thinking it is something more broken. It is a get rag, and everyone has said me, I've had people tell me I won't even get a single burnout out of one of these gearboxes, and this car's been through like 30 sets, so it's lasted pretty well. I have another one, so it's not the end of the world. Didn't have another one there. I then decided that I hadn't come all this way for nothing, and this motor was already cactus. On my last pass, it went from 70 degrees in the cooling system to like 98 in about 100 meters. So anyone knows, and it was pinging. So story is this nut on the fuel pressure reg. The top here, it's your adjuster, as you can see. It was bloody tight when I went to adjust it. I was like, yeah, that's not right. Anyway, so I just nipped it back up. Turns out it wound out. lost fuel pressure. We're looking at like 30 pounds when I think it should be 55 is what I did have it set at. And it was pinging, and me in race mode didn't lift and torch head gaskets. It still ran okay. It didn't appear to have a misfire, but I knew going before I even got on the burnout pad I wasn't going to drive off. And I knew I was going to need a new motor, so I wasn't caring. So I sent it in second gear. I put the tallest tyres I had for it on it, which were trailer tyres, and they were actually nearly brand new. The ones I've been keeping around, as you can see, I'll come down here, I actually nearly got them off, which was really surprising for only second gear. But the car drove on the trailer, so it did die on the pad, and I'll put the video in here. Yep, that was fun. And we got it onto the trailer, and it was fun. So, you know, you win some and you lose some with motorsport, especially when you're trying to do things as cheap as physically possible. It sucks that it broke, but the charger itself worked fine. The car makes 5 pound a boost, dead on, which is about what I expected, which is off factory 96, L6, I don't know, factory charge Commodore specs. Yeah, everything went fine. Didn't throw a belt, nothing like that. We had hell trying to get this belt. It's not a common size. Hat tip to Foxy from Repco. He hooked me up. They were like $80 retail, and I literally could not afford it. And some miracle happened, and it was a lot less than $80. These things work, and that's how mates work. Yeah, so I'm pretty stoked. The car was fun. It's so much fun to drive. Like, launch off the lights first, or off a prep track. First, just blaze. Second, spun into third, and it would squirmishly spin in third. It's good fun, but obviously the gearbox did not believe that was the case. So from here, the motor's coming out. Obviously, gearbox is coming out. I've sourced a new motor. I've bought L67, so Superchar 26 gasket kit. I think the head gaskets are a better quality. Not sure. To be honest, it wasn't the car's fault it failed. It was my fault for not tightening the nut on the top of the reg up. Like, I just nipped it. Apparently, I got to be tight. Who knew? So from this, what I've done to try and avoid this problem again, where your gauge screws in here, I've actually bought a digital sender for a gauge that goes on the dash. That should help us avoid this problem in the future. Alright, that's enough of the up and on for me. I'll see you guys in the next vid. Thanks for watching.